Come along with us on our journey to Europe. In September of 2024, we took a 7-night cruise on Royal Caribbean's Explorer of the Seas. The cruise left Ravenna, south of Venice, Italy. It docked in Dubrovnik, Croatia, Athens, Greece, Mykonos, Greece, and Split, Croatia, before returning back to Italy. All in all, we spent 14 days in Europe, kicking off the first 2 nights in Venice.
Once we landed in Venice, we took a water taxi from the airport to our hotel. We stayed at the Hotel Rialto. Once we checked into our hotel, we headed over to St. Mark's Square. It was less than a mile walk from our hotel. We explored the museums in St. Mark's Basilica. We did book these tickets in advance because they do sell out and then you end up having to wait in a long line to enter. Our second day in Venice, we splurged and booked a private tour to the islands of Murano and Burano. Our first stop was Murano, where we got to watch them do a glass blowing. The second stop was Burano with all the colored buildings and the lace shops. The tour and our guide were both great. Later that night, we did take a gondola ride, much to David's despair. The next day, we had arranged for private transportation from Venice to Ravenna, including a water taxi that took us to a car that then drove us to the port of Ravenna. As far as food, we just stumbled into places within walking distance of our hotel. All in all, we had a great time in Venice. You can cover a lot in just a couple of days.
This was our first time taking a cruise. There are a lot of moving parts to making it work, but once we got on the boat, we felt so relaxed. Explorer of the Seas is one of the older boats by Royal Caribbean, but we still thought it was great. We had a balcony room, and having the balcony made the room feel so much more spacious.
We loved eating in the main dining hall each night with our late night reservation. It was so relaxing. On port days, our server did tip us off that the breakfast buffet gets super busy. We made it a point to wake up and go get breakfast in our PJs and then come back and get ready to get off the boat right away.
We did not do the drink package on this trip. We still did have drinks and ended up paying less than what we would have had we got the drink package.
Our first port stop was Dubrovnik, Croatia. You do have to take a taxi to Old Town.
It's a satchel, not a purse.
Royal Caribbean does offer a shuttle to and from, but we did opt to take the taxi so that we'd be more on our own time, and it did end up being cheaper than the shuttle. Old Town has a lot of cool things and Game of Thrones shooting locations. We highly recommend doing the city walls.
Just be prepared for a lot of people, a lot of walking, and a lot of stairs. We got a lot of cool pictures from the fort just outside of the city walls as well. Overall, we really loved Dubrovnik. There were a lot of cool photo ops and great views, and it was a great time. Getting back on the boat is very simple. Just make sure you bring your cruise pass with you.
Our next stop was Athens, Greece. We splurged this day to do a private tour because we had a lot of ground to cover in a short amount of time.
Our driver picked us up right away and took us to see the changing of the guards, followed by a trip to Mount Lycabas. Don't know if that's how you say it, but we did stop by the Olympic Stadium, the Temple of Zeus, and the Acropolis, where there were way too many people.
We had our driver drop us off near Plaka. It was a super cute little town near the Acropolis. We got our first Cafe Fredo, which became a favorite of the trip. We explored the town a little bit more and then got a taxi ride back to the boat. Athens is a big city, so just come with a plan.
Next, we docked in Mykonos, which was shockingly a very relaxing stop. We didn't have much of a plan, and it was fun to just wander around. You do have to take a sea bus from the port to the old town, but it only costs €2 each way. Having a drink in Old Venice is definitely a must while in Mykonos, and you gotta check out the windmills. It's really close to Old Venice. Everything's walking distance.
Our last stop was Split, Croatia. This was one of our favorite stops of the trip. It's a big city with a lot to explore. We chose to stay in the old town for the day, which was walking distance from the port. We heard the thing to do was go up in the bell tower, but it was very slow moving and a lot of people in a small space. We went atop of the vestibule and got almost the same view. The best thing we did was walk up Margin Hill. Amazing view, lots of stairs, but a cool cafe at the top to relax and soak it all in.
One of the interesting things you can see near the vestibule too is the town was shelled during World War II, and a lot of the remnants of the bombing is still there. The acoustics of the vestibule are very popular for singers. And here's that view from Margin Hill. We also got to check out a lot more Game of Thrones stuff, a Picasso-themed restaurant, and the Old Town Market, which was really cool.
There are some day trips that you can take, but since we were only there for a day, we wanted to hit the most that we could in a short amount of time.
Once we arrived back in the port of Ravenna, we took a shuttle to the Ravenna train station, where we caught a train from Ravenna to Rome by way of Bologna.
We ate at Osteria de Fortunata, where they are hand-making the pasta in the windows. This place is popular and can have long wait times. We did a lot of touristy things in Rome, like the Vatican, Colosseum, and Trevi Fountain. But one of our favorite things was taking a pasta making class. It was so much fun, and we highly recommend doing that when in Rome.
Rome is huge. Be prepared to walk and flag down taxis the old school way. Transportation is tough, and the taxi and Uber drivers go on strike a lot. We highly recommend buying tickets ahead of time because the lines get insanely long to these big attractions, and if you have your tickets, you get to skip the line. There's so much to eat, see, do around Vatican City and Rome, so just make sure if you're heading over there that you plan that day accordingly as well.
If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments or direct message us. We'll post as many of the links to stuff we booked directly below the YouTube video as well.
But don't be rude. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but we were on this cruise. It was Ashley and I and my mom, so it was the three of us. We did all these things. It was a great time. With that being said, this is the end of the vlog of our first cruise trip ever. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you find it somewhat helpful. Here are some pictures and some things that we did that we didn't get video of. I'll be sure to next time get a lot more footage and have a better idea of how I want to make this.